Hi, this is James McManus, and the book I chose to read was Not Quite Burned Out, but Crispy Around the Edges: Inspiration, Laughter, and Encouragement for Teachers by Sharon Draper. This is a wonderful little book comprised of stories and essays to give teachers of all levels of experience lessons to live by. The most valuable concept this book can teach anyone who aspires to teach comes from the 10th chapter entitled The Keys to Success. You see, in this particular entry, a story of a young teacher, Miss Daniels, is in what would appear to be a rather trivial dilemma, where she can find a supply of paper during an end-of-the-year shortage at her school. There is only one possible solution. She has to ask the fearsome school secretary, Miss Griswold, for access to her legendary stash of printing paper. From this point on, two people ask Miss Griswold for her help: Miss Daniels, a new teacher, and Mr. Bexley, the math teacher. Both get two very different reactions from the dreaded secretary. Both needing paper for their classes, Miss Griswold asks them a simple question: why? Our first teacher, Miss Daniels, approaches Miss Griswold in the very same method her teaching counterpart does later in the passage, with a simple hello and inquiry as to how the secretary is doing. Followed by her request for paper for her class, Miss Daniels is asked, why? This is her response: it's for my children. They're collecting new words, and I want them to see how well they've done and how far they still have to go. Miss Daniels exemplifies a teacher's philosophy of teaching your students not a curriculum, but a set of life lessons to encourage continuing growth. Interest in each and every student you teach is essential to providing an environment that nurtures a student's ability, helping them to grow as a person. This methodology comes in stark contrast when compared to the second teacher, Mr. Bexley, who is forced to answer the same question as to why he needs paper for his students. This is his response: so I can run off my tests. It takes a lot of questions to make sure these darlings can pass one of my tests. I like to give them long tests so they can at least get some of them right. Mr. Bexley is then asked if he likes his students, if he believes in them, to which he replies, they're okay, but sometimes it's hard to get to know them all, let alone like them all. The icy Miss Griswold retorts, you gotta love them before you can teach them. You can't do either. The message being to student teachers and those who have tenure alike that lessons, tests, and curriculums don't mean anything if you can't reach out and know each student as an individual scholar with unbridled potential. Loving your students, getting to know them as a person, not as a person in a desk, but as a unique individual, that is the difference between the Miss Daniels and the Mr. Bexleys in the teaching profession, and consequently the most important thing that this book can impart to teachers.